who won the batting title or led the league in hitting for having the highest batting average in the league, the stat itself has been falling out of favor for 20 years already, and its decline is only accelerating. All this history may be impressive, but it obscures what batting average actually tells you. Batting average is a simple calculation any third grader could do. Take a player's hits, divide it by that player's at-bats, and round to 3 digits. That's batting average, and while in tiny samples it can range from 0 to 1,000, in the modern era, batting averages have typically fallen in the 200 to 400 range. In the 5 seasons from 2011 to 2015, no player qualified for the batting title with an average above 350, and only 2 players even cracked 340. Jose Altuve once, Miguel Cabrera twice. Did you notice that odd phrase in there? Qualified for the batting title? Because batting average is a rate stat, a statistic that measures something per something else. In this case, hits per at-bat. MLB sets a minimum threshold to appear on its leaderboards, in this case a reasonable 3.1 plate appearances per team game played. Since a full season for most teams is 162 games played, that means a player must have 503 plate appearances on the year to qualify for the league's batting title or appear anywhere on the leaderboard. Yes, but weren't we talking about at-bats a moment ago? What's this with plate appearances? Indeed, that bait-and-switch exposes batting average's first major flaw. Batting average doesn't tell you how often a player gets a hit, but how often he gets a hit, ignoring times he draws a walk, gets hit by a pitch, hits a sacrifice fly, makes a successful sacrifice bunt, or reaches via catcher's interference. Those scenarios don't count as at-bats, but do count as plate appearances. The first 3 count for the purposes of on-base percentage, a stat so valuable it will get its own chapter later in the book. So why does batting average ignore all of these other events, which in some extreme cases can account for more than a third of a player's trips to the plate? Barry Bonds did this twice, in 2002 and 2004, the only MLB player in history whose plate appearances were more than 50% higher than his at-bats. Because, well, there's no really good explanation for this. I mentioned above that the most likely theory, that when Chadwick created the stat, those other events were rare or just weren't considered the result of a hitter's skill or effort, so he chose to omit them. This alone should tell you why using batting average by itself, or even just as your primary metric to evaluate a hitter, leaves out far too much crucial information. Leaving walks drawn, an important skill for a hitter, out of the numerator, just hits, and denominator, at-bats, only gives you a portion of the hitter's season. The sins of batting average, though, are not just of omission. The numerator is even more flawed than you'd think, because it treats all hits as equal. A single and a home run both carry the same weight in batting average, even though we know they carry substantially different weights in the game. So what does batting average really tell us about what a hitter did over some period of time? It tells us how often he got a hit in trips to the plate where he didn't walk or get hit by a pitch or hit a sac fly or bunt or have some other very rare thing that isn't actually an at-bat happen. And it only tells us that he got a hit, but not what kind of hit. Hence the old baseball axiom, often heard after a weakly hit infield single, "It'll look like a line drive in the box score." It's a bad tradition, but it has stuck with us for well over a century and still carries undue importance in discussions and evaluations of hitters, especially those who lead the league in batting average because we say they won something. It's often confusing because hitters who hit for high batting averages are generally good hitters, period. We're not getting totally false information from the stat, but we're misled by its false precision, acting as if going to the 3rd decimal place is a summary judgment on the player.